The sirens echoed through the oversized rooms and winding corridors of the Greenbrier resort. Hotel guests ran in every direction, frantically seeking shelter. Richard scanned the chaos, searching for John. There, across the exhibition hall, his partner was ushering the last stragglers out, locking the heavy doors behind him. "Is this a real thing?" Richard said quietly as the two met. John shrugged. "Don't know, still waiting for confirmation, but I heard we're at DEFCON 3. He paused, then locked eyes with Richard. "Either way, we have a job to do. Go, start prepping. I'll be right behind you." Sensing the intensity in John's direction, Richard didn't wait. He shoved through the double doors into the now empty exhibition hall, his footsteps echoing across the marble floors. Thousands of cut crystals cast shimmering stars from the chandeliers above. Constellations formed from glass and fire. For a split second, he thought about his wife. She'd love this room, all this old-world elegance. I haven't even brought her here yet. He pushed the thought out of his head and he broke into a full sprint, his heart pounding in his chest, not from exertion, but from what potentially came next. He slammed through another set of double doors and then came to an abrupt stop. The Colonial Hall. The bright yellow wallpaper wrapped around him like summer sunshine. Gold wainscoting gleamed beneath the ornate crown molding. Elegant, cheerful. It's the kind of room where wealthy folks sipped champagne and talked about nothing important. Richard took one long breath, and he turned immediately to his right. Nothing but a wall. Yellow wallpaper and white trim. He reached up to the top right corner and he carefully peeled back a small oval-shaped section. Did the same thing down at the bottom right corner. Two hidden latches, masked by the trim, invisible, unless he knew exactly where to look. Richard disengaged both latches with a metal click. Then he gripped the top one and he pulled, and the wall moved. The entire section, wallpaper, wainscoting, and all, swung out into the luxurious room like a door, then it folded back in on itself accordion style, collapsing against the adjacent wall. Behind it, an enormous blast door. Not just big, massive, like a bank vault scaled up for the apocalypse. Over 19 inches thick and 20 tons of solid steel, reinforced, built to withstand a nuclear blast. Richard's hands moved automatically, spinning the wheel lock, disengaging the bolts. He'd rehearsed this hundreds of times since taking this assignment, but this time it felt different. This time, it felt real. Finally, the locks released with a heavy thunk. The Doomsday gate began to glide open. Silent, effortless, riding on overpriced, well-oiled hinges, cost more than Richard made in a year. He stared thoughtfully down into the fluorescent hush of the white noise corridor below. Sterile, the hum of ventilation shafts. A safe haven for the elite, while the wars they start incinerate the peasants outside. For senators, for congressmen, for democracy. Richard leaned his forehead against the cold steel of the blast door, let out a long, deep exhale, and he said a prayer for the safety of his pregnant wife. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Southern Drawl Podcast. This is part of our A Story Worth Telling series, and we hope you guys are going to enjoy it. This is a crazy one. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about this story at the end. It's a good one. Also, make sure you share the channel, especially with people that you think might enjoy it, and subscribe down below if you haven't already. Guys, I'm not going to hold you up anymore. Let's jump right back into the story of the Greenbrier Bunker, right here on the Southern Drawl Podcast. Nestled between two mountains in the heart of West Virginia, the Greenbrier sits on 11,000 acres of lush Appalachian hill country. Springs bubble up from the ground, nature trails wind through ancient forests, and golf courses, immaculate, pristine courses, roll across the landscape like green carpet. It's only 2 hours from Washington, D.C., and it's one of the most luxurious resorts in all of America. Over 710 pristine guest rooms, 20 restaurants and lounges, 55 indoor and outdoor activities, 35 retail shops, the kind of place where presidents vacation, where the wealthy escape, where champagne flows in nothing ever seems to go wrong. But beneath all that elegance, the Greenbrier has always had a darker side, a history steeped in war. During the Civil War, Union forces seized the property. They almost burned it to the ground, came this close, but decided at the last moment it was just too valuable to destroy. At the beginning of World War II, the government kicked out every guest and converted the resort into housing for displaced European diplomats, exiled ambassadors with nowhere else to go. Then later in that same war, the government invoked eminent domain and forced the owners to sell. The Greenbrier became Ashford General Hospital, a 2,000-bed military facility treating wounded soldiers straight from the front lines. The resort has seen war before, but nothing like what was potentially coming this time. It's 1962. The Soviet Union has just placed nuclear missiles on the coast of Cuba, 90 miles off the coast of Florida, within striking distance of every major city on the east coast of the United States. The world is holding its breath. And the Greenbrier Resort, well, it's right in the middle of it all. Not because of its location, not because of its history, but because of what's hidden underneath it. 5 years earlier, in 1957, the United States government started looking around at the new world it was living in, and it realized something terrifying. We ain't ready for nuclear war. They had a bunker for the president deep beneath the White House, reinforced and stocked and ready. They had a bunker for the Supreme Court, hidden, secure, protected. But Congress, the House of Representatives, the Senate, nothing. And without Congress, the constitutional republic couldn't function. The government would collapse. The country would fall into chaos. So they made a decision. They needed a bunker, and a big one. Big enough to house the entire legislative branch. Hundreds of senators, representatives, and essential staff. Close enough to D.C. to reach quickly, remote enough to survive a nuclear strike on the Capitol. And it had to be secret. Completely, utterly secret. Nobody could know it existed. Not the press, not foreign spies, not even most of Congress could know. So they approached the owners of the Greenbrier Resort with a proposition. Let us build a bunker beneath your hotel. We'll pay for it. We'll disguise it. And you'll never tell a soul. The owners quickly agreed. And over the next 2 years, in one of the most audacious construction projects in American history, the U.S. government built a massive underground bunker, 112,000 square feet, buried beneath the West Virginia wing of the resort, a Walmart-sized subterranean fortress. They told the public it was a renovation, an expansion, a new conference center, and an exhibition hall. But beneath the marble floors and yellow wallpaper and crystal chandeliers, they were building something else entirely. 19-inch steel blast doors, decontamination showers, dormitories for 1,100 people, a power plant, a water purification system, a hospital, a crematorium. Everything needed to survive the end of the world. And to keep it all hidden, serviced, and ready at all times, they installed the perfect cover, a TV repair service. Richard was no elite. He was just a government employee with the top secret clearance. Officially, he worked for the Forsyth Associates, a company contracted by the Greenbrier to maintain the resort's television and radio systems. But Richard wasn't just a repairman. He was one of only about 4 people allowed into certain areas of the resort. One of about 4 with keys to locked doors that guests would never notice. One of a few who could explain away his presence in restricted hallways, service corridors, and basement storage rooms. Because Richard wasn't there just to maintain TVs. He was there to maintain a bunker. For months, Richard, under John's leadership, kept the secret and did the job. He checked the air filtration systems, he tested the generators, he walked the empty corridors beneath the resort, making sure everything was ready, just in case. And all the while above him, guests played golf, sipped cocktails, and had no idea they were sleeping on top of the government's plan to survive nuclear war. In October 1962, that plan almost became reality. Cuban Missile Crisis pushed the world to the brink. DEFCON 3, DEFCON 2, the closest humanity's ever come to nuclear annihilation. And deep beneath the Greenbrier Resort in a bunker nobody knew existed, men like Richard, pawns in a game of chess for the elite, stood ready to open the blast doors to welcome the knights, the rooks, the bishops to their forever tomb, and to lock the rest of the world outside. Richard was deep in the bunker now, moving through his checklist on autopilot. Check the air filtration system, test the backup generators, inspect the decontamination showers. He was trying, desperately trying, to keep his mind occupied. Because if he stopped moving, if he let himself think even for a second, all he could see was her face, his wife, pregnant. Due in less than 3 months, somewhere out there in the DC metro area, alone. Last time they'd spoken, she was headed out for groceries. That was hours ago. He'd only just transferred to this assignment. They were new to the area, didn't know anybody yet, no family, no friends, no one to go check on her. She was truly alone. And Richard, well, he was standing in a bunker safe behind nearly 2 feet of steel and concrete while she was out there, facing the end of the world. How can I be here? He walked briskly past the hospital wing, beds, medical equipment, everything needed to treat radiation sickness or battlefield wounds. Then down the long corridor lined with bunk beds, each one had a small brass placard mounted at the head, names engraved in neat little letters. Senator so-and-so, Representative such-and-such. Just enough room for the important people. Richard muttered under his breath, and their aides. He almost laughed. It was either that or scream. He kept moving, passing the fully equipped TV broadcast studio, cameras, lights, sound equipment, a news desk ready to go live at a moment's notice. Richard stopped and just stared at it. Who are they planning to broadcast to? What will they even say? Good evening, America. If you're watching this, you're already dead. His thoughts drifted back to his wife. Where was she right now? What was she doing? Was she scared? He knew one thing for certain. Wherever she was praying. God, forgive me, Richard whispered under his breath, his voice cracking as he spoke. What's that, bud? Richard nearly jumped out of his skin. John was standing right behind him. Jeez, you scared the hell out of me, man. John grinned. Yeah, sorry, sound doesn't carry in this place. Everything's muted, dull, easy to sneak up on somebody. He paused, then his expression softened. Hey, listen, looks like this thing's settling down. Why don't we finish up the readiness checks together and then you can just take off for the night. Just stay close to your phone, just in case. Richard blinked. His relief was immediate, but then so was his confusion. It's over? Just like that? John looked up and smiled, tired but genuine. Apparently so. Besides, they're afraid if they evacuate Congress, the Russians will see them evacuating Congress, and they'll assume the Americans are going to strike first. And then in turn, the Russians may actually strike first. Richard thought about this for a long minute. So the plan to protect Congress from nuclear war can't be used because it might start a nuclear war? John just smiled and winked. Welcome to the government, my friend. Before finishing up, Richard had a phone call to make. He found a quiet corner in the Colonial Hall, the one with the bright yellow wallpaper and the hidden blast door. He sat down. Phone felt heavy in his hand. With trembling fingers, he dialed his home number.
Hello?
Her voice, sweet, steady, alive. Richard exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. Hey, baby. It's me. The Cuban Missile Crisis ended. The world stepped back from the brink, and the bunker beneath the Greenbriar went back to sleep. For 30 more years, it stayed completely hidden to hotel staff and guests. Forsyth Associates, a dummy company out of Arlington, Virginia, continued to provide TV repairmen to make the rounds, checking systems, testing equipment, walking empty corridors that no guest would ever see. Congress never had to use it, not during the Cuban Missile Crisis, not during any of the close calls that followed. But in 1992, the secret finally got out. A Washington Post reporter named Tim Gupp started asking questions, digging into rumors, following leads. And when the story broke, the world was stunned. For 3 decades, one of America's most luxurious resorts had been hiding a doomsday bunker beneath its floors. A bunker designed to save 1,100 of the country's most powerful people while the rest of the nation burned. The government decommissioned it shortly after, declassified it, turned it into a tourist attraction. Today, you can take a tour through that multi-million-dollar marvel for just a few bucks. Walk the same corridors our friend Richard walked. See the bunk beds with the senators' names still on them. Stand in front of the 20-ton blast door and imagine what it would have been like if it had ever been used. Here's the thing that stuck with me as I researched this story. The bunker was never really about saving Congress. It was about control, about maintaining power, about making sure that even if the world ended, the people at the top, the important people, would survive. And in the end, it was useless. Why? Because you can't hide from the truth. You know, the good book talks about a day that's coming, a day when all those rich and powerful folks, the ones that they thought they had it all figured out, the ones that built their bunkers and they stocked their shelves and they made their plans, they're going to be looking for a place to hide. Revelation 6 says they'll run to the mountains, they'll crawl into caves, and they'll call out to the rocks, fall on us, hide us. But here's the thing. You can't hide from God. Money won't buy you mercy. Power won't get you protection. And all the bunkers in the world won't save you when the one who made the mountains comes calling. But for those who call upon the name of the Lord, well, there's a whole different story. We don't have to hide. We don't have to be afraid, because the one who shakes the earth, the one who holds the keys to life and death, he's the same one who calls us his own. The world might be running for cover, building bunkers, hoarding resources, trying to save themselves. But we know where our shelter is, and it is not under a luxury resort in West Virginia, or any other state for that matter. Guys, I assure you, times are gonna get dark. The world might look like it's lost its mind. Wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation. But that's when His light shines the brightest. That's when we stand tall, love people despite people, speak truth even when it ain't popular, and keep our eyes fixed on the only one worth following. At the end of the day, it won't matter who had the biggest bunker under the fanciest hotel. It'll only come down to who trusted God when the world was burning. So stay ready, stay humble, and keep your heart right. The world might be running for cover, but we know where our shelter is. That's the good news, brother. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Southern Drawl Podcast. This story was phenomenal. I just really enjoyed digging into it and learning all about this Greenbrier Bunker, guys. Go look this thing up, man. It's incredible. Just huge place. You can go visit it too, by the way. If you enjoyed this episode, leave your comments below. What did you think about this bunker? Are you going to go check it out? Have you ever been? If you have, let me know what you thought about it. Also, if you like this channel or you know somebody that would, make sure that you share the channel. And if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe down below. Until next time, guys, be free, be blessed. Peace. Blindly walking, I'm so lost. Gone for quite some time. Forgetting all that I once loved. Feel like I died. Hope is gone away. Fingers cold and numb. from this pen.